Good afternoon. Are we still saying good afternoon? Okay, perfect. So I know it's just us between the work and the lunch. So we'll make it quick and sharp and we'll make it meaningful, okay? So that's really the target. My name is Arnab. I have been in the digital industry for almost 22 years now and uh, kind of seen the entire digital industry moving from 1% of advertising spend to almost 60 odd percent now, Gulshan, or maybe something like that, right? Gulshan I have seen through as well. So so we can say that we have seen, and of course the other fine gentlemen as well. So without much ado, I think we've got a fantastic introduction. I will start actually first question with Gulshan, right? He heavily bribed me backstage to ask him the first question, but Gulshan, you have been, part of almost everything that is forthcoming, right? We can speak about your Yahoo days, then Comely Times, in between, and then again move to Jio Ads now. I think, and we can see the interest levels amongst people. But before I ask you that, what keeps you ahead of time, but maybe we start with this fantastic topic that we have here, which is CTV, and therefore the entire future focus approach that we have with the congregation of digital. Should we first start with understanding the difference between the CTV and the OTT? Because I know it's really, really basic, but should we start with that first, and then maybe we can move ahead with more questions. So you want to just throw your definition of difference between the connected TV and the OTT platform?
Hi, guys, can you hear me? Yep. I think it's fair. I think people use different definitions. So we talk about CTV, but fundamentally, I think GroupM calls it addressable TV. And it's basically anything that allows you to target advertising at an individual household level. So I think today, am I getting feedback or is it me? Today you get a lot of sort of theory around ad insertion on linear TV today. We all have a bunch of fast channels. Prabhvir more than most, I think. But at least I keep seeing his walking TV guide. But the idea is large screens work to drive business results. And this is a difference for us when Arnab and I were here 10 years ago. We were saying, actually, no, mobile is a big thing, and mobile works, and mobile is the new thing. And today, you can target that screen with an app using OTT, like my previous employer, Hotstar, and they do a very fabulous job of it, especially when you reach world records on ICC World Cups. You're also taking in insights across what you know about the user, because it's typically logged in user with registration, etc. And the whole idea being is that you can today I think there's 150 million households with a TV connection. Today 30 million of them have a broadband connection. If I include addressable TV, which includes like the Den Hathaways, the cable companies, that number may go up to 40, 50 million. But very soon, the majority of televisions will have some way to give connected advertising and personalized advertising probably at an individual level. I think that's
That actually brings me to the second part of my question. How do you keep up with actually future gazing, what's keeping ahead? And therefore, would you want to just talk about, and because this entire session is about, talking about the future of digital advertising and how connected TV and OTT, are kind of breaking the ceiling. You want to talk about what does the future look like to you when it comes to digital advertising?
Me specifically, I remember having a conversation about 15 years ago with somebody who was fairly senior at Unilever, and he said the future will be digital plus physical. And when he meant physical, he really meant experiential. And so digital is just a medium. We just happen to use digital to serve advertising. Historically, we served it as part of the video stream in connected TV, and now with digital, we're now able to go from, cohorts of 50 million, 100 million on a channel to cohorts of down to like one and do frequency matching, etc. But fundamentally, marketing and advertising hasn't changed. It's about, can you make an emotional connection? Can you drive action and activity? And the other thing that's also changed is the infrastructure around us. And a big part of it is when I was at Hotstar, back in the early days, it was a conversation around, a lot of us wouldn't have been here if it hadn't been for Reliance and Jio launching 4G in those days and now 5G, where we went from having some of the slowest and most expensive internet in the world to having now some of the cheapest and some of the fastest. And we've skipped a step because now we have things like air fiber that allows us to connect not just the major cities, but also down to the nearest villages. And that allows us to reach everyone at scale. And I think, if I look at like just the Jio business right now, we have 450 million customers, and we call them customers because they're verified, they're KYC verified, but also they come back and pay me every month for a recharge. And whether it's something as small as a geophone or something as large as like the air fiber, it allows us to build an opportunity to connect content to whoever wants it and the way they want it. I'm not sure if I'm answering the question, but broadly, yes.
I get it. But very interesting, because my second question is actually to Prav. And Prav, I was reading an article, I think from Samsung Ads, I think last year sometime, same time. And you had mentioned that Samsung is future ready, and how anonymization of customer is essentially one of the key pool that you're using, right? And here Gulshan just spoke about KYC verified 450 million customers. So I want to really understand, how does both of these coexist? And what's your version of the story?
In all honesty, one key thing we need to understand is that while TV as a device has gone digital, the viewer of TV is different from the user of TV. Right? When we have our phones, we are the user of that particular device, right? And therefore, cookies or app identifier or device identifiers can be used to identify that particular device and the user. When you look at the TV, you could have bought the TV, but it could be your spouse or your kids watching it. So when we talk about Samsung Ads being future ready and cookie free ready, we have invested in identifying what is happening on the TV as a device, irrespective of who is the user / who is the viewer. I think this is an important concept to understand when we look at television as a device, where at any given point in time, there's not one person who is likely watching that particular screen. And therefore, when we talk about we being future ready, we have data from our screens across the country, about a little over 10 million of them. And we can accurately and deterministically tell you what was being viewed on that particular screen. And therefore, if you want to use those TV signals in your campaigns going forward, like either people watching IPL, people watching Shark Tank, people watching a lot of subscriber-based VOD, you can get those insights which were historically not available from the TV as a device. TV historically has been sold on the back of content. And suddenly with the TV connecting to the internet, you have different dimensions which are now opening up for targeting. And these are all deterministic, irrespective of cookie ID or an application ID. So that's what we mean when we say we are future ready from cookies.
Yeah, so that brings me to my question to Rahul. Rahul, you and me, we were just having a conversation out of this hall, and you were mentioning that almost CTV is playing a very important role in your portfolio of products that you guys operate on. You want to just talk to us about this absolute change that you have seen from 80-20, from traditional digital to digital, and in digital CTV specific? You want to talk about the transition?
Hello. Of course, Arnab. So since the last 15 years that I've been in this industry, earlier I was with Voltas, so I have seen that evolution happening real time. Voltas was 5% of the budget used to go into digital, right? And I've seen those days where starsports.com used to sell it at spot rates, right? So a sea shift, in fact, one of the biggest leverages for us as a brand that we are number one today because we latched on to that bandwagon of being digital first. In fact, rightly said that 80% of budgets is going into digital, specifically connected TV, and what Gulshan had also pointed out, that TV as a device is very powerful in establishing brands and building that imagery about that brand. And specifically for our sector, where we have consumers, both home buyers and home sellers, on the same platform, and typically a home buyer, it's a old data now that average buying price is 65 lakh, but now that has doubled, I guess, with real estate booming these days. So we are talking to that SECA audience. To be able to reach out to that audience, connected TV has become a very predominant device for us. And a big portion of the money is going to that, especially cricket, especially in the genres like movies and entertainment and cricket. We have seen a huge exodus happening from traditional TV for RTG, specifically in metros.
I'm just going to ask a addendum question because we often look at real estate as a segment and we then think performance, right? And we think of performance marketing, right? The moment we talk about real estate as a segment. And it's very interesting to hear you talk about CTV because we haven't really heard the performance marketing success side of CTV as yet. It's primarily brand building and brand coherence, etc. So would you want to just define a cohort before I move to Dhruv, where I have very specific questions for him. You want to just talk about how you guys are looking at the entire performance funnel from CTV, if there is at all something that you're doing like that?
That still is a challenge, so to say, but we'd love to, figure out that last mile attribution of CTV to my, KPIs like organic app install or my brand search volumes or direct traffic. Unfortunately, as of now, we are not able to do that with that kind of a precision. We are trying to do that with some trend analysis and baseline effect and all that. So yes, from an attribution point of view, that is challenging. But we are leveraging CTV more from a reach and visibility point of view, right? In terms of building the brand. So we are not going after the in-market audience. We are going after the prospective audience as well, right? Which may in turn, think of buying a home. It's not a journey that you do it on a daily basis. Even if you rent a house, you come back maybe after 11 months or 2 years. So we need to have that top of mind awareness. And we're just following the consumer. If my consumer home buyer is watching content on CTV, I'd rather be present there. And focus on the reach and visibility till the time we figure out, from an ROI attribution point of view.
Dhruv, I think one of the things that I personally want to really understand, and I'm sure the audience would, Hotstar, and always been on a position of pioneering a product, right? In a category that itself is almost reinventing the way digital marketing has happened, right? I want to understand what goes inside, the think tank that you guys necessarily plan. And this is again a session which is talking about the future. So what is to you the convergence of all of this? How does a company like ours, who work with multiple advertisers, essentially look at having that one singular point of view, to express that, okay, this campaign has worked, they didn't. How are you guys planning that?
So firstly, I think I have a solution for Rahul, which I'll talk in a minute. We are deeply...
Arrow straight.
Yeah. We can talk more about it post the session as well. But let me just, one at Disney+Hotstar, you're right. We've been on this journey. We understand storytelling. We understand the content. We really understand our consumers for years, right? And as they transition from traditional to digital platforms, from mobile now to connected TV, there is a journey of evolution that they've gone through. And we are right behind them trying to understand their habits, their consumption patterns, etc. We've tried to build a platform on connected TV for both measurement as well as innovation. Right? On measurement, we've partnered with Kantar, we've got this panel of 1 million households where we look at regression data and we look at the brand metrics uplift. So the point that, is there a way to understand better on how your campaigns are doing? There is an upper funnel way using this panel where you can understand consumers' brand awareness, consideration, and even some potential purchase intent, right? So that's one measurement framework that we've been able to address, which is uniquely poised at this point. But of course, other platforms, I'm sure Prab and team are also thinking about how do you really build effectiveness. So that's one part of measurement. The other part is really around innovation. And there we've got this billboard asset that once you open the connected TV, open the app, you see an ad and that pretty much covers the full screen. So it kind of is the largest real estate out there on connected TV today. And the other piece that we are launching soon is we've learned from our teams in the US, specifically from the ones who've worked on Hulu, is pause ads. So let me just repeat that. There are about 1.1 billion times in a month that people pause in India itself, our app, on TV. And the potential to show an ad in that moment of pause is something that we know was worked for Hulu in the US, and we're bringing it to India. So watch out for that in the next few months. We'll have that launched. And the third thing, which is right up the alley for housing and for Rahul, is we've also launched on mobile earlier Click to Engage, which is our WhatsApp product. So you click on an ad, it'll open the bot on the phone on WhatsApp, and now on CTV as well. So there is a potential opportunity for you to click on that, and it'll open because it's the same login, right? There are more instances of logging in than not on connected TV, and also there's a hybrid model for our connected TV. It's not just all free. It's a lot of it is paid. In fact, even the World Cup was behind the paywall for connected TV at Hotstar. So you can click on that, and it'll open up the WhatsApp engaged model. So we potentially have that app install or lead or whatever engagement you want using connected TV as a platform. But all this said, it is still very early days. Even when I was at YouTube, we were just looking at this from just the fringes of it. Mobile continues to be a large part, but yes, very emerging and very impactful media going forward.
Cool, thank you, Dhruv. Actually, thanks for mentioning the pause ads. In fact, that brings me to the next question to Prav, and while Gulshan, of course, plans his new ad units. Prav, the question to you is, I think it's maybe CTV 101, but just for the benefit of me and for the audience, would you talk about the various kinds of possibilities of advertising that's available in CTV currently? Because I think he spoke about a very interesting format. If you can talk about some of the existing and upcoming formats that we can expect from the platform.
Yeah, I think first of all, we need to understand we are on a journey from a user perspective as well. While advertisers have been exposed to multi-dimensional ads in the digital space, right from the days of page takeovers to pop-up ads. I'm talking 2005, 2006. So while advertisers are reasonably spoiled for choices in the digital space, TV is one such device where people like interruption of a different kind. And when we say interruption of a different kind, they would not want to leave what they're watching and go somewhere else, which can quite possibly happen on a computing device or a mobile device. But on TV, people do not want to leave what they're watching on the screen. So as of today, everything is very elementary from a digital lens, which is what Dhruv mentioned, like the kind of billboards or mastheads that we are reasonably familiar with. We have, I would say, plain vanilla video ads. But we are slowly moving to interactive ads. We're looking at shoppable ads. Again, what Dhruv mentioned, you have ads which will allow you to transcend between devices, which is you could be watching an ad for surf on the TV, and you could have an integration on your phone which says, hey, do you want to order this on Blinkit or Zepto or Amazon Fresh, as the case might be. But we need to keep in mind that we need to educate the user in this new ad format as well. So when we look at introducing some of these newer ad format which requires some bit of interactivity from a remote which possibly has 4 buttons to click, and also a user who does not want to leave the last 6 balls of a match to engage with the brand, the user is yet to come up on that particular experience curve. But having said that, if you look at the 25, 35 years old group, they are reasonably comfortable with some of these newer ad formats. So it's a journey, and I think a lot of this interactivity and cross-device ad formats and cross-app ad formats will start to pop up over the next 6 to 12 months. And it completely changes the way we have looked at advertising on television over the last few years. That's what we are seeing happening, and we are testing some of these ad formats in India as we speak.
Cool. Actually, Gulshan, that brings us to a very interesting phase of the year that we are looking at, which is IPL, right? Would you talk about some of the things that you, and I know because as an agency, we did use Jio Ads last year for some of our campaigns for one of the large American pharma companies for one of their anti-acid products. Tell me, what do we expect from IPL and cross Jio Ads this year? Because we spoke about formats, right? What is, if you can talk about last year, some of the numbers, the key, deliveries that have happened, and how you actually see those numbers maybe growing multifold or not doing so well, or maybe significantly better this year.
Couple things here. So first, I'm speaking on behalf of my cousins at Jio Cinema. That confusion between Jio Ads and Jio Cinema continues to happen, but it's fine. I think, look, last year we talked about the scale that we bought, IPL, and it was pretty much free at the point of consumption. I think this year, especially I'm talking specifically around CTV, the ambition is to reach more than 600 million people. I do think that the experience we did last year was interesting in terms of, from a consumer perspective, there were a bunch of firsts. So the most number of languages that we had. Bhojpuri was something that, was viral for a while, and then, it's there, but it's become part of the conversation now. If you start thinking about the scale of connected television, the scale of the app, I think, it's there. But I think there's a couple of different conversations we're having, but mostly I would argue that it's going to be even bigger. There's going to be even more. I mean, the kind of things that we did, including, the dugout view, where you could play around from, sitting within the dugout. We gave innovations like, our 360 kind of view. You could actually have view it from there. And then fundamentally, the targeting, that was the first time in live sports at that scale. And I think now we're talking about, more than 100 plus kind of cohorts that are available. And so fundamentally, the ambition is to make something as big as IPL available from an advertiser or a marketing perspective, as big to the largest brands, all the way down to the local brand that wants to reach a few people, maybe using display in the local area, whether by pin code. Now, I think that's actually the interesting opportunity. This topic is called, the future and Martech and how ad tech and connected TV combines. But if you look at television today, or linear television, it's a fairly cumbersome process. I think there's about 30, 40 advertisers or partners that make up 50% of advertising. There's potentially a universe in India today of about 3,500 companies. But if you look at the advertising pool of mobile, it's at least 10x that. Okay, and if you look at YouTube, even like Hotstar or Jio Ads, it's there. But the interesting conversation is what happens when you bring the power of generative AI to the local businesses that can reach the homes in the local pin code. So for example, we have a solution we are tentatively calling Picasso until the legal approves it. But the idea is that you've now opened up a Chinese restaurant in Jharkhand who can create a video ad using prompts all the way and reach in their local pin code. And it's not that big a stretch to come back and say, I want to target and I want to reach people who are in my delivery area with a click to WhatsApp, as Dhruv was saying, or a order now button. And those are things that you couldn't do before. And so for me, the big conversation becomes not purely as an advertiser, but how do you expand it to advertising to the from a few thousand businesses today at max on linear television to millions. So advertising becomes more interesting. I think the second thing is, and this is a personal belief, it's not fact. How do you make it so that actions can happen, which is what Prabh and the team are talking about? And finally, suddenly you have a large screen where you have an OS that allows you to download an app. And the first few days of the internet was all about video streaming and chatting. But I think we're in the very early stages. And it's not that unusual to say, you know what, I'm ordering, and we saw this 30 years ago in like interactive TV, can I order pizza? No one ever ordered pizza because by the time you downloaded it, the show was over. But theoretically, and I see this happening, we see people playing cloud games on Jio games. We see people shopping, we think. Can you tie in shopping to the clothes that you're wearing, to the outfits that you're seeing on the scene? That kind of content is there. And how do you do that in a privacy-forward manner is something that makes the opportunity. So I think the opportunity is big, but if we limit it just to advertising, I think it's there. It's going to be just 10% of what the opportunity is.
Dhruv, that actually brings me to a question, because IPL eyeballs were a loss for Hotstar, right? I mean, it moved out to some other platform, and right? And now, what is the way that I understand finally the metric is going to be reach, right? So what are the other plans that is actually shaping up? I'm not talking about content acquisition in the future, but I'm saying how do you and there are cricket properties that still exists in Hotstar, but I guess they're all ICC events, so therefore the abilities to innovate is limited, right? So how are you guys planning this eyeball loss and therefore kind of replenishing it from other properties that you have in terms of innovation or even kind of ensuring that the advertiser gets the basket that it was getting with Hotstar earlier?
Yeah, no, so firstly, from last year to where we are today, we have a healthy growth on the platform. Of course, you're right when you say that when a marquee event like the ICC World Cup comes in, you do see the reach numbers. Well, Jio is giving one number, and we can go into saying what our number was, the users, viewers, to the point Prabh was saying. I think, let's just say a marquee India-Australia final does get you a reach like unparalleled to any other internet event ever, right? So we have seen that reach go up, and we have very clear ways in which we bring in some of our other entertainment products, whether it's our slate around movies, our specials, or even some of our content which is completely free. How do you engage the user beyond just sports? What we've also seen is female viewership on the platform has gone up over years, and again with connected TV it becomes a household viewership, right? So once a marquee event comes, it's a very important job for us and our product teams to hold on to the user with the balance of the portfolio that we have. And we've got launches every week. We are also doubling down on regional content. In fact, a week and a half back, we had a small gathering with CMOs and agencies where we ran them through our future slate. So whether it's our movies, our specials, or our Star TV network shows that are mirrored on Hotstar, there's a plethora of today ways in which we engage the audience. And the job is tougher, for sure. I mean, with IPL, you do get that reach. But again, we have the T20 World Cup coming up right after in June. So yeah, I think AMJ is going to be a cracker of a quarter with so much of cricket and sports out there. And we've got a clear plan on how we take that further into July, August, September as well. So yeah, we believe that there's enough power in the platform to bring the user again and again to watch different kind of content and keep them hooked.
I will have to bring this question to you, Rahul, because you're the only one with a checkbook on this panel, right? so if you have to
we have checkbooks for you, though. Yeah, so
yes, yeah,
whatever,
fine,
like
right.
whatever.
So Rahul, if you have to now decide who do you want to have lunch with after this, right? And I'm a beneficiary. You can release to whoever. I'll make my agency commission. So let's put it this way. It's all for these three gens and three different various kinds of platforms out here, right? idealistic scenario for people, who are starting to make their first plans and they want to really be careful about CTV and how do they plan their, marketing basket. What is your honest plan of action, and what is your preferred plan of action?
I'll sort of break it into two parts for someone else and then for me. It really, depends on what the objective is for that organization or the brand and what the target audience is, right? If the objective is to just go out there and build awareness, top of the funnel, or the objective is that you have built enough of, total awareness and you want to drive preference and, top of mind awareness for the brand, right? Honestly, in a nation like India, cricket is a no-brainer, right, if you ask me. But, the other side of that, right, it also depends on the budget. And it comes with a huge, sort of an entry barrier as well. I was just having a discussion with Prab, right? Within Hotstar, right, if you spend, say, 4 CR or 5 CR on a World Cup, you might not be seen in that kind of a clutter because of the kind of viewership that there is. But if you spend, say, 4 or 5 CR on Coffee with Karan, maybe a Jaguar, the kind of mileage or the kind of visibility or noticeability that they will get. So it all depends what your objective is, and you need to really be smart enough of looking what the trend is. There's a lot of cricket happening. There is a cricket fatigue also that has set in. So now I'll come to us as an organization. What our strategy going forward would be, honestly, is to handpick certain things, specifically bilaterals and movies and entertainment, where RTG has primarily shifted to connected TV, and TV as a device broadly works 3x, 4x better than mobile for us. So that will be a strategy. So again, do the homework, understand what your objective is. Don't just, I would see, the fraternity is here, I would not say that not to put cricket, or it depends on your budget, it depends on your appetite. There are other opportunities within the same platforms that will give you much more mileage. So
I tried my best to make it non-politically, but Rahul didn't bite. So next attempt, Prav, is CTV the Ori of Bollywood in digital marketing?
I think you're asking the Ori question to the very wrong person. I have sketchy information of this character is. But like all things digital, we started with mobile being the North Star. A couple of years back, YouTube was the North Star. And right now, I think the flavor of the year seems to be CTV is where everybody is gravitating towards. And both Dhruv and me can resonate with this statement, which is revenue solves all problems. So the day we see that 60,000 crores shift from TV to 100% digital, I think that's the day when CTV becomes the Ori of digital. Until then, the jury is still out.
Second attempt failed again, okay? Okay, now 100% digital spends. Going back to my old friend who has seen it from 0.1 to 60%. Gulshan, is that possible, 100% digital?
One answer, no. I don't think we want it to be. I still go back to saying experiential works. And that includes out of home, that includes radio, that includes audio ads. Like, to me, digital is just a medium. Okay, and it allows us to do 2 or 3 things that are important. One, it allows us to create assets at scale and personalize it. The second one is it allows you to deliver across various platforms, and now with other platforms, other tools, it's there. So, whether radio will become digitized or whether out-of-home screens in our Smart Bazaar stores become digitized, ultimately the experience is what matters. So, yeah, I mean, will it be 80%, 90%? I don't know. But what I will say is that when somebody still walks in the store, and that's still where 80% of India spends money, or they go into the showroom, or they go to the website, fundamentally, the customer or the consumer shouldn't have to care whether it was a piece of tape or a video, as long as it's kind of the right offer at the right time, in the right format. So I think, today there are already devices where you can personalize to an extent. I think we have high hopes for what I call, connected TV and linear addressable TV. But, the opportunity is more variety, tying in your ad tech to your Martech, and tying in your CRM to the impact that's happening. And I don't think that whether it's digital or linear really matters as much as the output.